Hi, my name is Boyd Hemphill. I'm the director of Evangelism at StackEngine. We do Docker, this, that, and the other thing. Come check it out, yada, yada. I like metaphors. My metaphor today is all about open source development. So I was presented with a problem. I had 2 million bricks. We'll go there in a second. But I really like to think about how I'm going to model my problem, how I'm going to implement, and then what tools I might use. So 2 million bricks, folks. That's a lot of bricks. That's a real picture. I had this problem. I needed to build something. I wanted to build something, just like an open source project. I had all of these tools I could use, all these pieces. I wanted to assemble them, and I thought to myself, you know what? A pyramid's the right thing to do. It's easily understandable, and it's easily shareable. But I thought to myself, too many chefs spoil the soup. Sorry, chef. And I thought, you know what? I can only share this with my family and maybe a couple of kids. Turns out that was a really bad model. You know why? Well, the first time we tried this, we tried it with a 3-foot base. It was going to be about 2 feet high. And you can see all the customization here. Customization is a bad way to go when you want to build a stable, high-quality environment. And so, for the first time, it just didn't work out. So in spite of my wife's shirt saying, keep DevOps weird, it all fell apart under its own weight. Again, you can see all of the different pieces here. They're all going together in different ways. Everybody had their own model of how they were going to build a pyramid. So while we all knew what we were building, we weren't really working together. So I decided, okay, the Tanzanians really have this right. Many hands do make light work. What I needed to do is I needed to find a structure for how to make those hands work together. Everyone from the 3-year-old who walked up to me to the parent of the 3-year-old who also wanted to help. So the 3-year-old, hey, I need bricks. I need them this color and I need them this size. Go. And I had a little kid literally come back to me with 100 bricks tied up in his shirt, dropped them down there, and then 3 other 3-year-olds were like, yeah, me too. So the little girl comes with some white ones, some more kids come in with some yellow ones. It was great. But the biggest key here is quality. All right, quality is a standard unto itself. Every one of those corners I had to touch. So I couldn't build the whole thing, that didn't scale, but I did need to make sure that the important part, those corners, were where it mattered. So standards matter, quality is a standard of its own. And then I needed the right roles for the right kids. Again, the 3-year-old's going to get me things, but I also needed some bosses, right? So parallelization, the lady in front here, she and her son are building the giant gold cap you're going to see on the top. Her husband and 3 other kids were building the pillars that you'll see inside of this thing in a moment. We were measuring to make sure everything was absolutely going to work out together. And ultimately, that young lady right there, 10 years old, had really never played with Lego in her life, is the reason that this thing worked. Why? Because she was the boss. If some kid was doing it wrong, she was willing to tell them, hey, you're not doing that right. You need to check in with Boyd, me, and have him check that out, particularly on the corners. She was heavily invested. She came along about 30 minutes after I started building and didn't leave until we had taken the last picture. And her mom was there with us helping out too. It was absolutely awesome. So my role had to change. I went from being a builder to the architect to the manager of my managers, and that led to what you see there, a giant piece of success. 4 feet by 4 feet by 3 feet, 20,000 pieces and 70 pounds of Lego. That's an amazing success. The culture of this thing, we needed cooperation and willingness, and I needed older kids, a 14-year-old boy, to take direction from the 10-year-old girl. Hey, you need to stop and wait so he can check that out. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Turns out it works. Automation is a really difficult thing to do when you have that many hands, but standards and quality meant that the quality came through the standards, not through the automation in this case. So sometimes you can give up a little bit of automation and let your standards take over if you don't have time to do that. Of course, lean, we moved the quality to the front of the process. Every layer, we were checking the corners. Every layer, we were making sure the pillars went in just where they needed to be. Measurement. We had to measure the weight of the thing so that the pyramid didn't get crushed under the weight of that big yellow piece there that was nearly 20 pounds. We also needed to make sure that every one of the pillars that's underneath that, holding the entire thing up, were the right size, because if it was too big, it would pick the pyramid up and it would start to break underneath. If it was too small, it wouldn't bear the weight. So, sharing 27 strangers, about 4 hours of fun, and ultimately, what we had was a sense of shared accomplishment. If you have contributed to an open source project in your life, you know what that sense of shared accomplishment feels like. And let's face it, it's a wonderful thing. Keep in mind that when you do get involved, your role will evolve. The longer you're involved, the more responsibility that you will likely take on. The adults and kids are backwards, I'm sorry. It was 20 kids, 7 adults, all strangers. Next year, we're going to go for a 5-foot base, which will be roughly 30,000 pieces of Lego. Thank you for your time.